For my trip calculations, I decided to do the St. James R1 school district's football programs, their varsity football in yellow, JV football in green, and middle school football, which is 7th, 8th grade in light blue. And then I also decided to do the women's girls basketball programs. Uh, Varsity in JV is full time. We don't really have a ninth grade schedule. We only have one girls ninth grade game scheduled right here. But anyways, they're in orange, and then the girls' middle school basketball is in purple. For all my trip calculations, I have our price per gallon for the escalator cost. So everything's going to be times or figured out by calculated by $4.28 since diesel fuel is over 250 cents $2 since it's over $2.50 a gallon. I have all the schedules in here with the dates, and all the ones blocked out in gray and strike through are home games. So there's no trip cost for any of these. Now there is one that I did not, that is strike through, and it's her JV football game to Perryville. It would have cost her district $1,122.55. And then the next year would have cost Perryville whatever their transportation costs are. And our district decided to cancel that cost, that it's only going to be a varsity cost because of the excessive amount that it was going to be to there, considering it was 262 miles. To figure out the round trip per miles, I went to Google Maps and typed it in from the high school or middle school from where we were leaving and figured out the round trips. Now, for varsity games, we always take 2 school buses, but I figured out the cost per total per bus, and I figured this out by once I found out the round trip of miles for right here for like Salem, 70 miles. I times 70 uh, uh, 70 times $4.28 a gallon, but I used the function, so I did C3, which is right here, times I2, and then that gave me the $299.81. And then to find the total cost, since it was a varsity game, I had to do E3 times 2. So basically, this cell right here is E3, times it by 2 since we take 2 bus. So to go to Salem, it costs us $599.62. I did that same formula and calculations for every game here, times each trip by the miles by I2, times each bus, times it by 2, cost per each bus, and we ended up with $3,436.68 for the varsity football program. And then I also did the sum function on here to add it up, which is just equal, type in sum, and then did the cells F3 through F12, so that just tallies it up. And I did that also for each one of these. Go to the JV football, which I highlighted in green, strike through the home games and through Perryville since we didn't go there. Figured out all the miles through Google Maps for the round trip, the whole trip. Did the cost per bus. So for like Herman here, C19, okay, which is right here, 125.4 times 4.28 gave me the total of $537.09. That would also be our total cost, because for JV football we only take 1 bus, so I didn't have to multiply that cost again. JV football transportation costs for all our games, we end up traveling 542 42 miles and 4 cents. Ended up being, well, with the Perryville calculation here, because I did the sum of rows again, ended up being $2,323.12. I took the Perryville cost out of there, which is $1,122.16, since administration decided to go against that. And our total cost without Perryville, as I have it labeled, is $200.97. And then our 7th and 8th grade football team, we just started sponsoring them again. As you see, we only have 3 away games. We only had 3 home games. Uh, so the schedule will get bigger as the program continues to grow and as we move forward. 1 bus goes for each 7th and 8th grade game. Round trip by miles again, times by a cell up here, I2, gives us the cost per bus, and that total cost is what everything cost since we only took 1 bus altogether, and did the sum function as well. Ended up being $1,517.89. Also, an easy way to figure that out is you could just highlight it and drag it down. It'll still give it to you here in the bottom corner, which can be handy. The best thing about the functions, though, if you enter the function and you change your numbers, the total cost will change, and as long as the formula is right, your number will always be right. I ended up putting each of these cells to give me the total cost also in here. So if my total ever changes, it would be. So I did equals cell F13 plus F is plus E29 plus F37, which is our total cost cells. So, and then that ended up giving us the total cost for all football programs, which is $6,155.54. Again, as I mentioned, this is so great because if you have to edit this or have to go in and edit the gas price halfway through the season, these totals will still come up into these columns, and when that reflects the price of my total cost, it will reflect my price of the total cost over here. Now on to the women's basketball. So, as I mentioned earlier, we don't really have a 9th grade schedule for women's basketball. And then we have our middle school basketball. Our 9th graders play up on JV mostly for these years. If numbers do get big enough, they will have a 9th grade schedule. The boys basketball team has a 9th grade schedule. So I calculated these all the same as far as the cost per bus and the round trip. So 90 for this Licking JV game, 92.4 times cell I2, which is $4.28, gives me my cost per bus, and that doesn't change, and then also doesn't change to find the sum function. The things that is different for this sheet, or for the orange girls basketball and the purple girls basketball, is the fact that I added 2 more columns, and I added 2 more columns to cover the cost, to calculate the cost for our tournaments. As in each basketball tournament, you play normally 3 games. You got your first round, unless you have a bye, your second round, and then you have your third round, whether that be third round's first place game, third place game, fifth place game, or consolation. Most tournaments do. So I figured in 3 nights for each tournament, and the rest I have blocked out so that it doesn't cause any more confusion. So I still figured out the cost per bus per night. So 64, let's say the Sullivan tournament, Varsity Girls Sullivan tournament, 64.8 miles round trip, times our cell I2, okay, which is $4.28, equals $277.54. Now I had to figure out a way to put the cost in there to give all 3 trips, which are going to be covered. So I did I2, I did E52, which is A, B, C, D, E. Okay, E52 or 65.4. Oh, sorry, one two low there. 194.4. Okay, times our trip times our gas mileage. So actually, in total, for all 3 of those trips, it would really be 194.4 miles, not 64.8. So I did that by our I2 cell. This could also be done another way. I could have done equals this cell, which is E52, G52 times our 3, times D52, and it would have still gave us the same cost. It'll equal out the same either way, but that's just the way I used it for this function. So I did that for each of my tournaments. I times it by 3, so we would get the total cost. Our ninth grade JV varsity and women's basketball ended up being $4,754.99. For our purple here is our middle school, which I found this odd because you travel a lot for the varsity women's basketball schedule. I feel like they're always on the road, got a lot of home games, a lot of away games, but our middle school program is actually costing more to transportate this year than our varsity. But there's also 3 tournaments, and there's 3 tournaments here in the varsity schedule that we had to calculate for. Our tournaments are in Washington, which is 411 miles, Herman, which is 359 miles for all 3 rounds, and Owensville, 215 miles. So you got some long tournaments there that raise the bus cost. But again, I found out the cost per bus by timesing the round trip miles by our cell I2 up there, the gas price, to get the cost per bus. Most of those costs carry over, except for our tournament. So I found the cost by bus, and you can find the cost by bus and multiply it by 3, or you could do the way that I did it, and that was do the round trip miles and times it by the gas prices too. Either way, it works out the same. And we ended up spending a total of $5,738.86 for our women's basketball programs. You can also zoom out here and see that's probably a little too much, but just to give yourself a view of the sheet and the color coding and the blacking out and striking through to try to make the sheet as least confusing as possible while making it still efficient.